Hi, my name is Lisa, and today I'll be sharing with you one of our family's favorite children's books. This book is actually a retelling of an original English folktale collected by Joseph Jacobs, and he's one of the collectors that we learned about in this week's reading. Robin Muller is the author and the illustrator of this version, which was published in 1995. The illustrations are all done with ink and colored pencils, and they're beautiful full-page illustrations, which I'll show you in a few minutes. This tale begins with a family that's very poor, and the mother and the father are too poor to feed their children. And so they lead the girls out into the forest, and they abandon them there, and they're left to fend for themselves. And it gets cold, and they're hungry, and they start to despair. And their youngest sister, Mollie, says, "Don't be afraid. When it gets dark, we will be able to follow the stars. Sooner or later, we'll find our way out of the forest." And I love how she takes charge, and she encourages and comforts her sisters. They end up following a path that leads to this enormous house. And hoping to seek refuge there, they knock on the door. And it is opened by a big, old, ugly, mean woman who says, "What do you want?" "We're sorry to bother you, ma'am, but we're lost in the wood. All we want is a bite to eat and a roof for the night. We won't be any trouble." "Go away," said the woman. "My husband is a giant, and he eats little children for breakfast. He'll be coming home very soon." Mollie and her sisters beg the woman and tell her that they'll leave before the giant comes home. But, as you can guess, they're still there when he returns. "Fee, fi, grunt and groan, I am ready for blood and bone." The story continues, and it gets a little grisly and dark, and for time's sake, I'm going to jump ahead of the tale. And I'd like to just reassure everybody who's watching that the girls do escape from the giant's home, and they come to this gorge, and there they find this magic bridge that is made from a single strand of hair. And Mollie helps her sisters, who are too afraid, across the bridge. And in the distance, you can see there's this big, beautiful palace. Upon arriving at the palace, they meet the king and the queen, and they tell them about their escaping the giant. And the king is very impressed by Mollie and her sisters, who has sent many of his bravest knights, and nobody has ever returned or succeeded in outwitting the giant. Nobody except for Mollie and her sisters. And so he gives them 3 quests. He asks Mollie to go back, and he asks her to steal a sword from the giant, to reclaim the lost gold, and to also steal a ring of invisibility, and by doing so, outwitting the giant and defeating him. And he promises in exchange that each of her sisters and herself will be able to marry the knight of their choosing. And here's one of her sisters being married to a knight. The book continues, and Mollie is actually caught at one point, and you can see that the illustrations show the exaggerations of the lines for the giant, the sharp nose and teeth and ears, and Mollie's grim determination here. This is a really fun book with a decidedly happy ending, but you're going to have to read it to find out for yourself. Some of the activities that you can do with the children after reading this book is walking on a balance beam representing that magic bridge. You can also do sequencing activities with them, talking about the first and the second and the third different quests that Mollie was given. And then probably most important is you can have the children retell or recount for you a time when they felt brave. I think this is a really fun book, and everybody will be rooting for the heroine, Mollie Whuppie, and I hope you will check it out and read it and add it to your home libraries. Thank you.